not to be confused with Twerk 7 Tuesday. Hello, those of you that know about Twerk 7 Tuesday. But Working Women Wednesday was all about women who were just making an incredible mark. And this young lady hailed from Baltimore, Maryland. But what she was doing down in Atlanta was unlike anything I had seen at the time. And she had this restaurant called Slutty Vegan. And all I saw was people eating these burgers and talking about how amazing they were. And when I found out she was from here, she was back home, and we said, nah, we're getting her on the show. And so she first came on the show in 2019, and I'll never forget talking to her how electric her energy was. And so I'm so glad that she's here today, especially at a conference that's centered around generational wealth, because someone like her and her story is really, really important. That I think all of us will learn a lot from. So can we give a really, really big round of applause and warm welcome to Miss Pinky Cole Hayes, who's officially here representing CEO extraordinaire, innovator, entrepreneur. This is a real dynamic woman. Can I tell y'all? First of all, how y'all doing? Okay, so the last time that I saw you, you had locks. I had locks. And I had locks. We had locks together. And then we ain't got no hair. We don't have no hair. That's a lot of evolution. Come on, Jesus. It's so good to see you. It feels good in the summer, doesn't it? It feels great in the summer. I can just get out the shower and go. Yeah. So every now and then I miss my locks, because sometimes I'll see a picture, I'll be like, dang, them locks was locking. And then it's like days like this where I'm like, well, you look beautiful. Thank you. You as well. It's so good to see you. You as well. And I know I'm just excited. Every time you come home, what does it feel like when you're back home? Because I know you're based in Atlanta, but I feel like home is really special to you.
Home is really special, man. Like every time I come to Baltimore, the way that I get embraced. Like growing up, all the people that I knew was famous was Jada Pinkett, right? So now people are like, oh, Pinky, like you rep in Baltimore, and it feels so good to be able to represent the city who made me who I am, right? Like I can go to any room, I can go to any, be around anybody, any congregation, and the Baltimore, the dude, the two is still gonna come out. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to come from East Baltimore, Zadonia Avenue, and go to Baltimore City College High School and Western High School. And I don't know if some people in here are from Baltimore, you know what's the difference. But to be able to do that and make something of myself and represent for my city, that feels really good, and I don't take that for granted.
Yeah, and I love that you rep your city. You rep everywhere you go.
All the time.
You rep, and that's important. So I want to, one thing I want to do is at any time, if anybody has a question, because time is of the essence, Tim. So if anybody has a question at any time, feel free to just jump into the conversation. I don't like to wait till the end, because we end up running out of time. But if at any time you want to ask something, just put your hand up and I'll make sure we get that, okay? But one of the things I want to talk about when I think about your journey, because I've kind of followed it from the beginning. But when you first came in 2019, you had this whole other story before Slutty Vegan even was. So I want to go all the way back, because I think when we talk about wealth and building and success, people don't realize, like, over your journey, you acquired certain skills. And the skills were transferable, and all those skills you develop, and we're going to start in Baltimore when you're throwing parties, because that required, and you gained a skill. And each part of your journey, I think you gained skills that helped you for what you're doing today. So I want people to kind of pay attention to that aspect. So take us to Baltimore when you're, where you grew up, and when you start throwing parties, and then, going from Baltimore to then New York, or college and then New York. So kind of take us through that beginning.
Yeah, so the beginning was very interesting, and I feel like the beginning of our stories really shape who we are. So I actually was born in a single parent household. My father got arrested, and he ended up doing 22 years in prison. So I watched my mother be this entrepreneur. She's the lead singer of a reggae band called Striker Spassi, right? So she was like a local celebrity in the DMV area, but she also had a job. She worked at the bank and still worked at the same bank for 39 years today. So I grew up learning what loyalty and commitment looked like on this side, and then I also learned how to be a risk taker on this side, okay? So I've been doing it the legal way. And I knew that I didn't want to be regular, whatever that meant. When I was a kid, I said, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna be a star. Like all my friends laughed at me like, Pinky, you crazy, you dream big. You know some of their friends when you growing up. But I knew that my greatness was not tied to where I was at that present moment. So as I was growing up, I started throwing parties. I'm like 15 and 16 years old, having the biggest high school parties in Baltimore City. I'm talking about, I would charge $10 for people to come into the party. And I would charge $1 for the waters, DJ popping, like it was a big thing. And I'm like, oh, I can really do this. I'm a business owner, right? And eventually I started selling like with chickens in high school. I would buy my chickens for $1 and sell them for $2 in the cafeteria. And then I would buy candy and sell it. And I knew that what I did very, very well is I knew how to bring people together. So when I graduated high school, I went to Clark Atlanta University. Okay, one of us, yes, come on.
Yeah.
So when I went to college, that was kind of like my playground. I'm like, all right, I know how to bring people together. People like me. They like talking to me. They come to things that I create. So I got to college and I started doing everything. I joined Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I was Miss Hey, okay. I became Miss Junior. I became Miss Omega Psi Phi. Then I became Miss Clark Atlanta University. So I'm like, I have a gift where I know how to connect people, and I knew I can do that very well. Fast forward, I packed up my bags and I moved to Los Angeles, California, with a duffel bag and a suitcase and a Bible. And when I went out there, I had no job lined up, but I just knew that I wanted to be great. And sometimes you don't know what that path is. You just gotta go, close your eyes and jump. And my father always told me success is like throwing mud at the wall. Something gotta stick. So when I went to LA, I'm like, all right, what am I gonna do? I had to figure it out. So I ended up working in TV. And I became a production assistant. My sorority sister was like, Pinky, you need some money, you can't keep getting refund checks. And I was doing background work, and I'm like, all right, this is a little ghetto, okay? I gotta do something legitimate. So she told me that I could work on a show called Judge Karen's Court. So who would have thought that this little girl from East Baltimore, who had a father who did 22 years in prison, would end up not only working in TV, but climbing up the ranks, which you know is incredibly difficult to do in a short amount of time. I wake up one day and I'm a producer on the Maury Show, y'all. I'm like, how did I get here? I'm like, you are the father, what's going on? But I'm working on the show, and one of my good friends, he was like, Pinky, there's this restaurant. It's called, I don't remember the name of it. It was like, but they're subleasing. Do you want to open up a restaurant? And I'm like, well, I like to eat. I don't really cook like that, but I like to eat, so sure, why not? And I'll never forget it. The rent was $2,400 a month. And I signed a little bootleg lease, and I moved my stuff in. While I was a producer at the Maury Show, I took my 401k, I got a little loan from a family friend, and I opened up my first restaurant, and it was called Pinky's Jamaican and American Restaurant. So before Slutty Vegan, I was slanging jerk chicken and oxtails, okay? And this was even before, I didn't even eat it, right? But I was selling it, and paperclip that because I wasn't in alignment. Entrepreneurs, make sure that you are in alignment. I had that restaurant for 2 years. And then I woke up one day and that restaurant caught on fire. And I lost everything. And I didn't get it back. You know why? Because I didn't have fire insurance. That's what I said. My dumbass. I'm like, what is going on? But I didn't have fire insurance. And because I didn't have fire insurance, I was unable to recoup anything that I had. So I fell into a depression. It got really, really dark for me. But I truly believe that God will ordain your steps, whether you like them or not. Because in that moment, he was really rebuilding my path. So much so that I got an opportunity to work on a show called I'ma Fix My Life. And here it is. I'm like, I need some therapy, and I get hired to work on a therapy show. I'm like, look at God, what are you trying to show me? Okay, so I'm working on the show, and I get to help people heal while getting the healing that I need. And here comes an opportunity to open up what we know as Slutty Vegan. I'm sitting in my 2-bedroom apartment, and I'm sitting there, and at the time, I'm running 5 miles a day. I'm reading one book a day. My friends calling me crazy, just like they did when I was a kid. And I knew that I was preparing for something big, and I didn't know what it was. And then one day, I was sitting in my 2-bedroom apartment, and Slutty Vegan hit me like a light bulb. Now, there was some grass associated with that, but I see some kids in here, so I'm going to say what kind of grass. Okay. But you know what kind of grass? Oh, it's legal here. Okay, you know what kind of grass I'm talking about. But But anyway, that is when I came up with Slutty Vegan. And when I tell you, when God has something for you, nothing can derail the path. Because as much as I lost my first business, as much as I didn't know anything about building a hamburger empire, every single thing fell in my lap. I'm talking about starting from a ghost kitchen, to starting a food truck, to building an empire, to creating 14 locations, to becoming a cover girl on Essence magazine, making a Time 100 list, making a Forbes 1000 list, getting a cover of England. So many things that I've done by way of the journey and the pathway. So I appreciate all of the steps that I've taken, but this is a road very well traveled. Has it been easy? Hell no. But it's been so worth it, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
I love that. That's a heck of a story, right?
Yeah.
Now I want to pause real quick before we keep going. Any questions so far? Any questions? Okay, I'm going to keep going. Okay, so everybody's following. So a couple things I'm taking away is, one, there are, again, certain skill sets that were interchangeable for you. No matter what you did, you were willing to take a risk. You knew that you were a connector. So whether you're connecting people with parties, or connecting people to shows, or connecting people with food, you know that you're a connector, and you know you're willing to take a risk.
Yeah.
How many people in here you know your strengths like that? Okay, that's good.
That's a superpower.
So part of it's a superpower. So part of taking the risk is when you know yourself, when you know what you have to offer that will work, whether in anything, right? So sometimes we get more caught up with what we do versus how we're able to do what we do. And so for those who may not know the strength yet, if I'd have got stuck in, I'm a radio personality, then the day I didn't have radio, I'd have lost myself. Because I'd have been so caught up in the vehicle and not the fact that I'm the driver. So it don't matter what vehicle I get in, as long as I know how to drive, I'll be all right. Now the vehicle may look a little different. One may be a little better, one may be a little janky, but I can drive any vehicle because it ain't the vehicle, it's me. So that's something that I'm getting when I'm hearing you, because you've been in multiple vehicles, but we're hearing the same themes, right? Is that there's a level of risk that she's always willing to take, and that no matter what, she knows how to bring some folks together.
Always.
Okay, so one of the things I want to ask, another thing that I'm seeing is on your entrepreneur journey. Let's talk about what happens when you're making money, but do you just kind of did you walk away from your production gig after a while? Like, at what point did you know, I don't need a job anymore, this will be entrepreneurship, will be what I do full time? And then, how did you transition? Or did you just jumped in and it's like, we full time, go or bust? Like, how does that work for you?
God will make you uncomfortable so that you can pursue the path that you were supposed to be on, right? So I'm working on a show and I got the first restaurant, because it's happened twice, right? Working entrepreneur, both go rounds.
Okay.
And in both instances, I got really uncomfortable. And people often mistake uncomfortability as to like, all right, well, you got to continue to do that same thing and then it'll change. Sometimes uncomfortability means that you got to do something different, because God is signaling you a message saying, all right, something got to change. You got to pivot.
Yeah.
You have to do something different. So I got uncomfortable both times, and it got to the point, it's almost like a pressure busting pipe. And eventually, that pressure is going to bust that pipe where you cannot do the things that you were doing before. So I knew that I had to take a leap and fully focus on my restaurant. And the minute that I did that, that was the best thing that could have happened to me. I'll give you a story. When I was working on the Y'all Wanna Fix My Life, I'll never forget it. I was running a team of 7, and I didn't tell my employees that I started Slutty Vegan. I didn't know Slutty Vegan was about to pop like I did. And I get a call, and they brought me into the office, and they told me like, hey, Pinky, unfortunately, we gotta let you go. I was devastated. I ain't never been fired from a job. I'm the one to do the firing, right? So I get fired, and I was devastated. But that same day, I went to this 24-hour spa called JQ in Atlanta. If you go to Atlanta, you gotta go. So I bring my team members, and we over here I'm sad, I'm trying to figure it out, because this is a really good position. I'm making $5,000 a week at 29 years old. That's a lot of money. I had somebody's dream job. But then here is Slutty Vegan. So I'm sitting here at JQ, and I get a call from Jermaine Dupree. And it was like at 12:45 midnight, in the middle of the night. And we're at JQ at the time. And he called me, he's like, hey, Pinky, I got Snoop Dogg and Lil Duval here. They want some food. Can you bring the food truck? This was the day that I got fired, right? And I had some decisions to make, and I'm like, all right, we just put the truck up. It was 45 minutes from where we were. That means it would take almost 2 hours to get back, to get the truck, to go back to JD's studio, to feed Snoop Dogg, to do whatever is required. But let me tell you something about being a risk taker in business. Yes, it took 2 hours, but that 2 hours changed my life. Because the day that Snoop Dogg bit to them damn fries, okay, he went online and he told everybody to go to Slutty Vegan, and my business has been up ever since, all because I chose to take that leap. So when I tell you, if you are employed and you are an entrepreneur at the same time, there's going to be a time, especially if you're doing it right, that you might have to make some real-time decisions, but don't do it just because it feels right. Do it when it don't feel right. Do it when you feel uncomfortable and you know that your business has great potential. You put the pieces in place and you can walk away knowing that, all right, I'm gonna put my heart and soul in this, because when you do take that risk, there's a lot of greatness that comes with that risk. And I'm gonna sit here and be honest, taking a risk means that there may be some obstacles along the way. If you don't know my story, I built a $100 million brand and I lost it for 43 days. And I bought it back 43 days later. But it's the art of being a risk taker. And you as an entrepreneur have to be okay knowing that sometimes the chips gonna be up and sometimes they're gonna be down, but it's the art of the process and knowing that you get to continue on the journey and doing exactly what you love with pure and good intentions.
I love that. I want to talk about some of those hard lessons, those hard times, because I think one thing I learned about was this term called homeostasis, right? And homeostasis means basically your body always wants to be at a certain level of comfort at all times. That's why if you get too cold, you get goosebumps, right? If you get too hot, you sweat. The body always wants to be at homeostasis. And so does the mind. The mind wants comfort. It doesn't like discomfort. So the minute you're uncomfortable, you ever had that moment where it's like, you know, dang, I could have just did this. You know, I done jumped out here, but I really could go do this and make that $5,000 a week. How did you push through the discomfort or push through? Because I feel like when we're in times of discomfort, usually you're immediately trying to figure out how to stabilize. So you don't think to yourself, this discomfort is just what I needed. Yes. Typically, when you have discomfort, what are you trying to do? You got to find the comfort again. So that's why we run back to certain people. That's why we run back to certain jobs. Or we run back to what we know, because the body is homeostasis. And people would tell me, like, you know, don't listen, you know, you kind of don't listen to the thoughts, you know, but that's hard to do because the thoughts are banging, like, you know. So how did you push through that? Because I don't think that everybody is good at just sitting in the discomfort, or sometimes they start to panic or they get anxious, and next thing you know, you're falling into habits that may not be good for you.
I will say this: we always know what it is that we need to do. Yes. There is a little voice. Y'all know that voice? That's really God. But it's a little voice that tells you what it is that you need to do. And I'll be honest, my clearest thoughts came in my brokest moments. When I had not a pot to piss in, when I was rubbing them pennies together, is when I had my clearest thoughts. Because you get an opportunity to sit with yourself. And sometimes you gotta sit with yourself, and what happens is, and I'm guilty of it, when you don't have much, you got all the opportunity in the world to sit with yourself, but when you have a lot, you don't think about the things that you need to think about, because you get what? You get comfortable.
Absolutely.
So when you're uncomfortable, that is when the real raw truth comes out, and you get to dissect. And you're right, it doesn't feel good when you're in those uncomfortable moments. But when I take a step back and look at the uncomfortable times when I'm past it, I'm like, I needed to go through that. Because it's almost like beta. My new president always says, like, everything is always in beta, right? When you are uncomfortable, it really means that you're in beta. You're always figuring out. You're always fixing. You're always identifying what to do different. So being uncomfortable means always being in beta, and that is when you get the clearest thoughts, for me anyway, right? So as I maneuver into this next phase of my professional career, I am finding the synergies between always being uncomfortable for good reason, but also having that level of clarity and not ever getting comfortable, right? Because oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we get comfortable, business is doing good, you feel like you ain't got to create no more, and the minute you stop creating, that's when you lose it all. This ain't a money game we playing with entrepreneurship. This is a creativity game. Like, how can you expand your mindset to be able to create new ideas that will continue to scale your brand? The reason why Apple works is because every 9 months they come out with a new product. Okay, you can't even use that charger no more in that car because they came out with something new. You understand what I'm saying? But somebody is back there expanding the mindset because they don't want to ever get comfortable. Because the minute they get comfortable, there's going to be T-Mobile, or there's going to be somebody else, or there's going to be another company, Microsoft, is going to come in and do what they didn't do because they got comfortable and they were sitting around and not thinking about big ideas.
Yeah. I want to talk about beta because a lot of people don't know what beta is, but beta is really important. I had one of my other entrepreneurs, Omi Bell, she used to say, all entrepreneurship is one big experiment.
Yes.
And so beta, speak to that word and what that means, what that means to you and what that means in business.
So let's think about an app, right? So let's think about Instagram. So before Instagram launches a new product, and a new product could be like where the button goes on the interface on Instagram. You ever go on Instagram and like, okay, I remember this button was over here this time, but now they push it over here, psyche, right? So beta is when they do a trial run of a certain thing to, one, make sure that it works as a group study, group case study, right? Make sure that it works. Do people like it? Is it user-friendly? So you do this study to identify if it works or not, and you do the study with people, right? You test it out. Beta is almost like when they test medicine with animals. That is also in beta, but tech specifically, beta is an opportunity to identify if a product will work or not and how well it will work. What are the bugs that need to be fixed? How do you need to change it? So let's talk about entrepreneurship. When I said everything is in beta, every single day that I wake up, there is a new opportunity to do something different, right? It's like a marathon. I'm Pinky in the brain in real life, okay? Pinky, how are we going to take over the world, okay? There is a new challenge to unlock every single day. And when I say beta, as a founder, there's blueprints all over the place. But you're walking in a real-time blueprint, especially for me. I'm building a vegan empire. You see vegan restaurants closing every single day. So here I am trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. Do people like Impossible? Do people not want soy? Do people want to have more healthier options? Do they want wraps, or do they want food that tastes like regular people food? And that beta for me is testing it out with the people, asking people questions, doing surveys, seeing what it is that people like, what they don't like, and all that is called is data. Data drives businesses. If you are an entrepreneur, you got to make sure that you got that data. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that is making sure that you have the phone number and the email to every single person who patronizes your business, because you can utilize them in a way in which it helps you make decisions on how to grow your company. So while you're in beta and you're launching a new product, you can utilize the people that consume you the most. And that's the people that spend their dollars on you. So I'm forever in beta, always coming up with new ideas, especially now, to take my business to the next level. Because if you want to be great, you got to talk like the greats, you got to walk like the greats, you got to move like the greats. That's the only way to get to where you want to be. You have to always be researching. You have to always be identifying how the data can help you. And you have to always be finding ways to unlock challenges.
I love that. Did everybody catch that?
Y'all catch that? All right. Always stay in beta.
Beta creates the data creates the product. Some of y'all out here selling slippers and don't nobody wear them anymore. So that's because you didn't test it. You didn't test it.
Stay in beta.
Stay in. So I'm gonna pause again before we keep the conversation going. Anybody got any questions so far?
Oh, we got one.
Okay, come on. Because I don't like to wait to the end. Come with it.
First of all, I want to thank you all for sharing your knowledge with us today. I'm in that stage right now of discovering when to transition my business to an in-profit business. So I've been investing for 5 years. I've developed the skill set of being able to time investments. And I'm sharing this within a group of 30 people in a chat. I feel as though because I haven't discovered, I haven't reached a certain dollar sign that I want next to my net worth, that I should be charging for my services. So I'm trying to understand when is the right time to make that jump. But the main thing that I have been trying to do is build community. So I've been hosting events in DC. I just had one recently at the park at 14th. I did that because I attended an event last November called the Black Wealth Summit, and I met local entrepreneurs and a couple guys you may know them from Iron Legion. So it was like an eye-opening experience. So my question is, when is the right time to make that jump in terms of, wanting to offer community service, but also profit from it?
Okay, so I got an idea for you. What's the name of what you do? What's the name of your business?
Nav Trades.
Nav Trades?
Nav Trades.
And is your audience black people who trade?
Yes, primarily.
Okay, all right, I got an idea for you. It might not work for you, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm about to give you a whole playbook. Okay? So you're not making money right now, right?
Not for my community, no.
Okay, so what you're going to do is you are going to build a community that people are going to pay a subscription fee to be a part of your community. And you need to call it Black People Who Trade, right? I know it sounds simple, follow me. Black People Who Trade is an organization for black people who trade. Sometimes we make it so difficult. It ain't even gotta be difficult, okay? Follow me. You're gonna create this organization. They are going to pay $500 a month, right? Recurring. You're gonna get a subscription. There's a couple of subscription-based model services online. I forget the name. Dora, if you remember the name, say it out loud. But there are a couple of organizations where you pay them a fee, they build the community for you, and people just tap into the community. You charge them $500 a month every month. What do they get for $500 a month? This is basic, right? For $500 a month, what you'll do is 3 times a week, you'll bring in different traders to come and do fireside chats, to do workshops with the people. So they're not just talking to you. Now you're bringing on different speakers. You're bringing on Wall Street Trapper. You're bringing on all the other people that are in the game that trade, whether they are beginning level or whether they are at the macro level and doing big things. So for your $500, your value is $15,000 because you'll get to connect with people who are teaching you in real time. This is at the basic level. Now for the people who want coaching, now they gotta pay $1,500 a month, and that's a different group. So you got the basic group for the beginners, for the people who just want to get access to the information, and then $1,500 a month is where they pay you directly and you can coach them. And you have intimate coaching sessions where you teach them how to trade. You teach them the art of the business, and they get to have a daily or a bi-day, like every other day call with you to talk about what's happening in the market. Or maybe you do a morning call every single morning when the market opens. And they get access to that call, and in real time, they get to trade with you. So you're making the money off the $500. All you need to start is, you got your 30 people, 30 times 500, boom, that's the basics. And if they want a little bit more than that, $1,500. And for $1,500, they get one-on-one access with you. They get to email the people who just did the workshop, right? And now you have this whole full association. And guess what you're going to do? Every single year, you're going to do a conference called Black People Who Trade. And every single person who trades in Black America is going to come to this conference. You're going to have a keynote speaker. You're going to have fireside chats like this. Okay, you're going to have different tech booths so people can tap into different opportunities in the tech world, and you're going to build a marketplace for people that are interested in trading, and you're going to do it every year. There'll be it's a ticketed event. People pay tickets to come, so this is a different price. So you got 3 streams of income. You got the basic, you got the coaching, and then you got people who want to come to the conference every single year. And then the last thing that you want to do, you're going to write a book about trading for dummies, how to trade. Black People Who Trade, the book. And you'll get a publicist. Follow me, because people think it's complicated. It's very simple. Then you're going to write a book. And it's so easy, you're going to get AI to help you write that book, okay? You're going to get AI to help you. Y'all laughing, but he's going to do it. And y'all going to be like, damn, how he did it. You're going to get AI to help you write that book. Then you're going to get you a publicist. You're going to start a nonprofit organization that's going to help people in this community learn how to trade. Black people in this community who learn how to trade. And then you'll have a scholarship gala every single year to provide scholarships for the people so that they can learn how to trade and go to school with their money. There you go. There's your whole. And it's never later. Black people who trade. Go trade right now.
There you go. And
BlackPeopleWhoTrade.com. Then you got the Black People Who Trade merch.
Oh,
Stop playing with it.
and then we got a question about Nav. I'll send you the bill for that consultation. Okay? It can be, you can send it in the form of stocks. And I'm going to add, as someone who comes from a family of financial advisors, and I want to get into this with you next. Whatever you do with that, however you follow that plan, know the legal side of what you're doing, because you've got to be careful about giving financial advice when you are not licensed to do so. So disclaimer.
Are you licensed? Okay, so that's the first thing. Before we do Black People Who Trade, let's go with license.
Yeah, you want to make sure your credentials are in order. And I'm going to talk about that because as business grows, it requires, it starts with the idea. And a lot of us are great with the creating side, but it's the operational that I want to talk to you about that I think is really important that we don't miss. Because we may have the game plan, we may have great ideas, but if we are not, if we don't have the right people around us to help us with the operation, you can quickly build and lose it. Yes. And so I want to talk about that, but I also, again, I open it up for questions as we go. So yes, sir, if you could tell us your name and go from there, please.
Hello, my name is Arvin Lassiter, and I have a suggestion for you too, brother. When you do have, you have everything signed up like she said, you can actually ask them to come to your event, and that would be part of the package as well, yes, coming to your event. So the question I have for you is, without getting into detail, I know you said you unfortunately lost your company and then you brought it back. What is some of the things that you've learned from that you can share with us on the pitfalls so we can kind of maneuver around that? Thank you.
Absolutely. I think that's what you was about to ask me too.
Yes, because you started off, you had one store or one truck, and you're managing the finances of that, and then you quickly grew. So again, one moment, a lot of times, one viral moment can change the impact of your business. Some people, I would say things move slow until they move fast, right? So it may have felt like it was taking a while. Next thing you know, this opportunity comes, boom, you're at the top, everybody's trying to offer you money. I'm sure you had investors throwing money at you. Now you're growing really fast, but you only know what you know. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about growing too fast, how that happens, and just managing your operation.
So, great question. So, I'm going to take y'all back down memory lane. All right, so I started the company in 2018. And from 18 to 2021, I ran the company myself. I need y'all to pay attention really close because this is going to be a valuable lesson in here. I ran the company myself from 18 to 2021. And I'm talking about I ran it from front to back. And then I started having babies. I had a baby in 21, I had a baby in 22, and I had a baby in 23, and I had an IUD in 24. Okay, but I had a lot of kids in the meantime. And they tell you when you start scaling your company that you put people in position to run your business, right? Y'all heard that before, like when you start scaling, you get the right people. I did everything that I was supposed to do. I started putting people in place. I'm like, hey, I'm having these kids. I'm going to take a back seat. I'm going to still be the mascot of the brand. I'm going to still be the face of the business. I'm still going to be the storyteller because that is the part that I do well. And y'all go off and be great and run the business. The problem is that I got too comfortable. And when you get comfortable, everything that you build can crumble. And my comfortability was the fact that I stopped paying attention to the business because I trusted that the people that I put in position had it under control. So every single year, I'm making double-digit millions, but when you look up under the hood of the car, ain't no engine in it. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Every year, making money has never been my problem. Making the money and bringing the money in was easy. But when you have $20 million in debt and a company that has 14 stores and you have more debt than you have revenue, there's no way you can survive. It's like the Titanic sinking slowly. I remember the movie like, Rose. That's what it was. That's exactly what it was. And here I am. I come back in the company after having my last baby in 2023, December 2023. I came back January 2024 with my buckets, trying to catch the water out the ship. And it was too late because the boat had already submerged. I'm metaphorically speaking to you. So here I had these investors, and they're great, right? These are wonderful folks, but at the same time, they're trying to build generational wealth too. So when they give you money, they expect to see a return on investment. So at the time, I couldn't understand why they no longer wanted to help me. No, they didn't want to help me because we done spent the money. We did a lot of great things with the money, but it was ambitious. And it was in the height of the pandemic when it cost $900,000 to open up a Slutty Vegan when it should only cost $600,000 to open up a Slutty Vegan. But in the height of the pandemic, a box of gloves was $12 when it was only supposed to be $4. So inflation was through the roof. So I got money at a time when, a lot of people weren't getting money, but at the same time, everything was so expensive, and then I didn't have the right leadership in place. And because I didn't have the right leadership in place, the empire that I built eventually crumbled. So my investors, they kept asking me, they kept, suggesting that I file for something called an ABC. Does anybody know what an ABC is? Raise your hand. Okay, one of us, two of you. You like 5 years old, you don't know what ABC is. Oh, you know the alphabet. Yes, you do know the alphabet. Okay.
Know your ABC.
We all know our ABCs. It's called an assignment for the benefit of creditors. So think of it like bankruptcy's second cousin. And what that is when you have too much debt in your business and you can't overcome from the debt, you have to go into this insolvency proceeding. And an estate takes over. So y'all remember Michael Jackson when an estate took over? An estate will take over and they will own all of the assets. And what that meant for me is I no longer owned the company. I had to resign from the board. I no longer was the CEO. And for 43 days, I didn't own that company. And that was incredibly difficult for me. I am the Slutty Vegan. But can you imagine? Something happened in my business that wasn't directly my fault, but when you are the CEO, you are going to get all of the praise and you're also going to get all of the booze. So for those 43 days, I got clear, because guess what I was? I was uncomfortable. And there's a lot of things that I learned. The first thing that I learned was when I got hit by a mattress on the highway doing 70 miles an hour. In real time, a king mattress hit me driving in the middle of the highway. And I said, God was telling me that I needed to rest. Okay? Okay? And then somebody pulled over trying to pick the mattress up and put it on their truck. I said, put the mattress down.
Was this in Atlanta?
This was in Atlanta.
Because anything goes in Atlanta.
Anything goes in
Anything goes. I'd have been out there like, oh my God.
But the other,
Mario, go
listen.
out there.
The other thing that I learned is that as an entrepreneur, you can never take your hands off the wheel. I don't care how good the resume is. I don't care how many businesses they've scaled. When you are finding talent to take your company to the next level, that little thing called your third eye, you always got to keep open. And you need to make time for the thing that it is that you built. Because when it all crumbles, everybody else is going to run it. You're going to be stuck with the debt. You're going to be stuck with the lawsuits. You're going to be stuck with the poor credit because your name is on everything. That is what happened to me. The third lesson that I want to teach you when you are growing a company, if you can fight it, do not be a personal guarantor in your business. Did y'all hear what I said? When I lost my company, my name was attached to everything. Nobody told me not to do that. My name was attached to the leases. My name was attached to the EIDL loans. It was attached to everything. So guess what? When the company folded over, guess who they went to find the money? Me. They came after me. Killed my credit. Destroyed my credit. I couldn't even buy a stick of gum. And I'm still making millions. Double-digit millions. So if you are an entrepreneur in this audience, When you get leases and you're growing your business, if you have a brick and mortar, make sure it's like a good guy guarantee. After a year, if you have to put your name on it, take your name off after a year. You do not want to be liable in that business. Your personal name should not be associated with your business because we never really anticipate that our business is going to fall apart. But now you do. You have to look at all angles, and I'm so glad that it happened to me early on because now I can sit on stages like this and talk to entrepreneurs and say, do what I did or don't do what I did so that you can do things differently and continue to grow your company. And then the last thing that I'll tell you, I talked to you about talent, but talent is the engine that you need to grow a successful company. And you cannot cut corners on talent. Oftentimes, I used to just hire people off Instagram because they said that they needed a job. LinkedIn is your best friend. LinkedIn. If you are an entrepreneur, you need to be on LinkedIn finding the right people, okay? And it's okay to go scouting people. If they work for somebody else, so what? Scout them. Seek them out. Because I realize your talent is your culture. If you have good talent, you have a great culture. If you have a great culture, you have a great business. If you have a great business model, investors want to invest in your business. Here's the other scenario. If you don't have good talent, you don't have a good culture, people don't want to work for you because they can't stand the leadership or the leadership don't know what they're doing. And if you don't have a good culture in the business, then it is going to be displayed with your consumer. And if the consumer see that it's all over the place, they will come once or twice, but they're not coming back. And when they stop coming back, guess what? You don't make those dollars. And when you stop losing those dollars, now you can't afford to pay your staff. And when you can't afford to pay your staff, now you cut corners and you half-assing it, and you get people that aren't good for your organization, and they're giving you 75% when you really need 100. So your talent is the gift that keeps on giving. So you got to make sure that you got the right talent. You got to make sure that you got your third eye open. You have to make sure that you always pay attention to your business and do not put your name on every single thing in your business. That is the biggest pieces of advice that I can give you when you're growing and scaling a company. Scaling is not the hard part. You can scale all day long, but knowing how to consistently be consistent when you're scaling will make all the difference. So I hope I answered your question, sir. But yes, tons of lessons learned, and I would not trade it for the world. Wouldn't trade it for the world, because let me tell you something. Right after I lost my company and I brought it back, do you know I was on a stage introducing T.D. Jakes and Oprah Winfrey on a stage of 2,000 people, all because of my story and how I lost my company and I brought it back. So every single thing that happens in my journey is by way of reason. And I wrote a book called I Hope You Fail, and we have it out in the lobby. But it really, failure is not what society thinks it is. It's finding the aspirations in the losses. The best lessons I've ever learned is because by society's standard, I may have failed, but it really was just giving me the wherewithal to be smarter, to be stronger, to be wiser. So when I see it happen again, I'm like, been there, done that. I've learned. It was expensive, but guess what? That's the best schooling that I ever had.
I encourage everybody to go find that book. Pages and Volumes is the bookstore. It's a black woman-owned bookstore back there. But go to the Pages and Volumes table to get, I think we have both of your books.
Yes, we got the Eat Plants B, because it's kids in here. It's a cookbook with amazing recipes. So yes, get that one too.
Okay, Pages and Volumes in the back. Make sure you check out that book. Before I get to your question though, that leads me to something though. I want to talk about how your personal brand can be impacted by your business brand and the mixing of the two. I'll stick a pin in it because I want to prioritize your question. But I want to speak to that as well. What happens because again, these lawsuits come, these headlines come, but again, we still see you, we still see you making millions, and then people, sometimes can come at you about all of that and how you just manage the two without losing them both.
Hey, Pinky. Okay, so my question kind of tethers, I think, what the young man was asking too. Like, we hear you now, and you are so confident. Like, you know what you know, you're safe in your space. But we also know you have done things that are remarkable, right? And along the journey, my question is, like, when you're starting out on that, what no one has ever done before, right? And you get this imposter syndrome. And when he said, well, how do I know when to start charging? I think, it shows up on that level for most people. the people I talk to on the ground level, they're like, I don't know what to charge, and when do I start charging? And then for you, like, when do you know to charge forward, right, for the first time? So kind of that imposter syndrome. What gives you that internal, like, I'm going for that thing, it's never been done, but I'm going to do it in spite of?
So you just have to do it. What I've learned is, so let's talk about content creators for a second. Content creators are the new celebrities, right? And it's because they show up authentically as themselves every single day. And because they show up authentically as themselves every single day, they begin to build a community that people want to consume. So the minute that you feel like you have enough of a community where people want to consume it, that is the moment where you should start charging, because there's somebody else in the world who has less people in their community and they're making a lot of money doing it. Another little key that I use, I got a best friend and her name is Tisha. Do y'all know who that is? ChatGPT Tisha. All right? Okay. All right. So what I would do is I always use prompts. So I want everybody who has this question to go into ChatGPT and say, hey, I need to know when is a good time to start charging. How much should I charge? What are they charging in market for the service that I'm offering? Okay? And how much do they charge for this service, and when do I start charging it, and what should that price include? What should I offer them for the price that they are willing to pay? With ChatGPT, and I am a big proponent for AI, okay? AI is the new way. And by the way, I'm gonna give you a little cheat code, write this down. There is an AI called Fixer. Fixer, F-Y-X-E-R, Fixer. What Fixer does is it checks all your emails and puts them in a draft, and it just, entrepreneurs, it makes your life a lot better. So write that down. But you find out what other people are doing. It's like real estate. What are the comps? If they're charging over here $4,500 and y'all are doing the same thing, why not you? And we have to get out of our own head. I think that that's the thing that separates us from our greatness, is because we don't want to post the content, or we don't want to charge. I used to be like that before. I didn't want to charge, but I eventually said, you know what? I know that I have a gift. And I know that I have something special, but there is a flip side to charging. You can't charge people if you don't know the information yourself. You have to do the research. The research is ever flowing. You should always be learning, always be building. And the money that you make from charging people, you should be going to conferences to learn more. You should always have mentors. You should be getting as much information as you can, and getting information that the average consumer has not gotten, so that you can funnel it down. So when I'm in these big rooms, and there's billionaires in these rooms, and these people that have all of these big portfolios, I'm sitting there being a sponge. So when I come back, I can report back the information to people who have not gotten in those rooms yet, but it's the art of the exercise of learning the information so that I can process the information down, and then you'll feel comfortable charging people for it. If you ain't where you want to be on the information, then don't charge. But if you feel like you're an expert and you continue to learn, you are more than within your power to charge when you see other people doing it, one, as a comp, and when you feel confident to know that what you have can't be learned somewhere else.
I love that. Research and investment. Those are the two things I took from what you just said, is the power of doing the research. And then investing in your own education, investing in your own knowledge. So if you have not gone to a conference in whatever it is you're doing, if you have not invested in, if you have a model you're trying to pursue, or you want a restaurant or something you're trying to open, if you haven't researched other restaurants and you're not studying menus, you're not serious. So just remind yourself, like, ask yourself how serious you are about what it is you want to do. Pinky, we have to wrap up, and I just can't tell you how, again, just I'm in awe of just your growth, your transparency, and your will, like that. Just, you won't be stopped. You can't be stopped. No matter what it is you did, you do. Congratulations on Vogies, by the way.
Thank you.
I do wanna try. Tell us about Vogies, because that's the latest. But then, so I was all excited about Vogies. And now I'm back at DC, so I watch all your stuff. And then I saw like a really bad incident happen at your opening. And I was like, well, wait a minute, what is going on? So tell us about Vogies, but then also tell us about just, again, the power of share, always kind of sharing, or when can sharing kind of become too much, if it ever is, in your opinion?
Sharing can never become too much.
Okay.
The problem is that people don't share enough. People aren't transparent enough, right? And the more vulnerable you are and open you are, like if you are who you are offline as you are online, you'd be surprised at how many more opportunities you get, because everybody has this robe on, right? Everybody has a veil, everybody wants to be this thing, but we all got problems. We all stressed out, we all going through stuff, but we all like to live life, and we all like to to have fun. And when people can feel like they can relate to you, that is really when you build your community, right? So a part of my vulnerability is, one, because I don't care about the opinions of other people, right? I know who I am and I know whose I am. And that is very critical when you're an entrepreneur, because it ain't always going to be pretty and people aren't always going to praise you. But you get to a space, and I was always there, but it's more critical now than it's ever been, because when I lost my company, you got the voices like, oh, she lost her company, like, that's crazy, that's what she get. So you see those things, but it builds a thick skin that now I'm like, okay, sticks and stones can hurt my bones, but now I get to do what it is without regret, without regard, and people are either going to do two things: they're going to love me or leave me alone, and the people that left me alone, they ain't love me in the first place, and I ain't need them. You know what I mean? So that's very, very important. And to Vogies is like the vegan Jersey Mike's.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about Vogies because that concept is so special. There was a gap in the market, and I didn't see anybody doing it, which is another tidbit for you as entrepreneurs. Focus on where the gaps are in the market. There's so many opportunities to start new things that nobody else is doing, and you can carve a lane for yourself. So I created Vogies. It's the first all full service vegan sandwich shop that has sliced lunch meat, right? You can make your own sandwiches, and it is fantastic. We got fresh baked bread every day. We're gonna be scaling that business too. So I'm in the season of completion, right? Completing what I started, completing my thoughts. Entrepreneurs, we think a lot of thoughts, we got a lot of ideas, completing those ideas, right? Like where there was a comma, there was a period. Saying no in business, right? Walking in my power and being confident in that power, and I get to do that by way of my businesses, Slutty Vegan, Bar Vegan, and Vogies. And yes, somebody did steal my car out front of my restaurant, and that was the same car that I got hit by the mattress, so that was God telling me that you need to get rid of that car too. So I say all that to say God is better than good, and He will take away the things that you don't need, so that you can reposition yourself for better things to come.
God be screaming at you. But I've had those moments where God was screaming like, go girl, like that's enough already. Yeah. No, that's incredible. Can we give Pinky a big round of applause? Pinky Coleman, what you have built is amazing. What you continue to build is amazing. Again, so much that I hope you all have learned and gained from her just sharing her story. And again, the last thing, like I said, what I wanted to speak to is just that building of your personal brand and your professional brand. To anybody in here, because a lot of us, we're building businesses and we're starting businesses, but then we have ourselves, sometimes you don't know if you should have a personal page and a business page, or do you have both, or how do you populate it? So kind of speak to how you've kind of built both of those. Did you kind of push everything through your personal and then build business, or do them together? And any suggestions you have for people from that, because we're all now, if you're building a business or whatever, everybody's kind of a media company. You got to kind of see it as that.
Yeah.
It's not just a page. You're kind of like a content creator. So speak a little bit to those two.
So I'll give you a really, really clean formula that I have done, and it has worked. So first of all, when I started building Slutty Vegan, I wasn't thinking about my personal profile. I was just building the business. So what I'm sharing with you, I learned along the way, so that you can skip a couple steps, right? Past go collect 200. So you build your business page, right? And let your business page be your business page. And your personal page can be the behind the scenes of the business page. That's one model. That's the model that I use. So you see the business here, and then on my personal page, you see the building of that business, right? If you don't want to be the face of the business, because everybody don't want to be the face. So if you don't want to be the face of the business, you build the business here and let the business be the business. And then on your personal page, you show the grunt work of how you're building that business. That's option one. Option two is you embrace being the face of your business. There is nothing wrong with being the spokesperson for your business, and people should absolutely see you growing the brand, waking up every day and talking about how you're learning the business and how you're getting better and how you're opening stores and how you got a new product. Because now you've built a invested-based business where people are invested in you, and because of you, they want to be a part of the business. So they associate the business to you, but there is a fine line with that, right? Because if you're going to be the face of the business, how you move, how you talk, how you act, you have to show up in a certain way. You can't be on the business and you be talking one way, then you go to your personal page and your pants sagging, or you cussing on your pet. Like, people connect the dots and they find the thread. So those are the two things that I would say. For me, I build the business on my business page and my personal page. I show the behind the scenes, the struggles, everything that's happening in the business, and I find that works for me, because when people fall in love with the business, then they start peeling back the layers and say, well, who created this genius of a thing? I want to meet that person. And they start looking at your LinkedIn, they start looking at your Instagram, and then they can learn the vision, the visionary behind that business, and then they start following you. What happened with me now is my personal brand is now as big as the business. So I have some things to think about. It's a good problem to have. But when you have those good problems, now you got to feel like, okay, you got to understand, how do I continue to grow both of these empires without merging the two? And if I do merge the two, making sure there's some parallel where it makes sense and it's not overloading each other. Did that make sense, y'all? Yeah.
Made good sense to me. And if people want to keep up with you, if they're not already following,
if you want to follow me, go to Pinky Cole on social media, all social media handles. You can go to Google, skip past the bad stuff. Or you can follow us on social media, Slutty Vegan ATL or Vogies. And I'll be around. I'm excited to see all of y'all great businesses. I'm actually excited to go in the lobby and look at some of the businesses. But I'll be around. If you want some motivation, I always do it on my page. And just a last word, I pray that every single entrepreneur in this building will always get the desire of your heart. And even in the moments when it feels hard, you keep going. Even if it feels uncomfortable, you keep going. Because just a couple of months ago, I almost lost my mind. And I got it right back, and I'm here. So no matter how bad it may look, you can come back from the darkest days in your business. So I wanted to share that with you. And good luck to everybody in your business. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for having me.
there it is, Pinky Cole Hayes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Don't forget, y'all, both of her books, the recipe book and I Hope You Fail, is in the back.